episode 1 through 8. Tell us what you think. Invite your feedback, criticism, whatever, as long as you're interested and engaged. Guys, let's dig in. There was a big fight last night, mega fight there in Las Vegas. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, a rematch, highly anticipated, and Fury just steamrolled Wilder. And I'll be honest, I was very surprised. I picked on my Facebook Deontay Wilder by KO round 4, round 5. I knew it wasn't going the distance. I knew 99% chance it was not going the distance. But Tyson Fury just imposed his will. And guys, what I really want to talk about for purposes of our Jiu Jitsu and wrestling and the MMA crowd, what I really want to talk about is the adjustments that were made when you face an opponent the first time, and then the second time you're wondering, hey, is the same opponent going to show up? What adjustments is your opponent going to make? What adjustments are you going to make? And I'll tell you what, Tyson Fury just threw a curveball of curveballs. I honestly, off the top of my head, I cannot think of a fighter that looked more different from one year to the next. He was a guy we'd never seen before. He sat down. He added 20 pounds. He came in 20 pounds heavier than the last fight. And he said, I'm going to sit down on my punches. And he told Deontay Wilder, he told the world before the fight, I'm going to knock you out. And everybody thought, man, that's stupid. Antonio Wilder has maybe the highest knockout percentage we've seen in decades. 41 wins, 40 by KO. He's got iron fists, natural puncher. We thought, man, bad idea for Tyson Fury, who's really thought of as a boxer, like a slick boxer, a finesse boxer. Bad idea to stand and bang with this guy, Deontay Wilder. Let me tell you what, cleaned up, right? They had to throw in the towel. And so what, for our purposes here with Everyman BJJ, the question is, how do you, think about this, guys. Tyson Fury, 7 weeks before the biggest fight of his life, a fight where he probably made $30 or $40 million, maybe more. 7 weeks before that fight, he fired his trainer. Ooh. That is unheard of in major sports, in major fighting.
Wow.
To fire your camp. Because usually the theory goes, for those of us who've seen a lot of fighting, the theory goes you can't make enough changes, right? You bring in a new trainer, he's teaching you new stuff. And then you take 100 steps backward and take 1,000 forward. Usually that's way too little time to make substantive changes. And yet it worked masterfully for him. And it threw a curveball to Wilder because none of us, including Deontay Wilder, were expecting Tyson Fury to show up like that. A lot of us thought he was bluffing when he said, I'm going to knock out Deontay Wilder. I'm going to sit down on my punches. I'll stand and bang with this guy Wilder more. We thought he was bluffing. So I basically turned it over to you guys, to you, Noah, and you, Jordan, to just talk about the adjustment period, even in training every day, Jordan. When you're in training, you train with someone every day. You know what they're going to do. They know what you're going to do. And then you're constantly trying to make these adjustments to stay one step ahead of your training partners or an opponent.
Yeah. So I'll address the actual fight first. So I watched both fights live. And I'm a big Deontay Wilder fan, but I'm a bigger Tyson Fury fan because I really like technical, clean, finesse boxing. Tyson Fury being such a big guy, such great head movement, great movement all around. He's a super slick heavyweight, and so I was really rooting for Tyson Fury. He was saying that he was going to knock him out, and I was kind of curious. Once I seen he came in so much heavier, I was really starting to believe him. And then his performance, he came in on the looked like girls were holding him up on the platform. He came in dressed as a king. Like the whole thing, the fight, the walkout before the fight was like a show before the show. It was pretty cool. And then Deontay's uniform looked like a video game character. It had like red lights on it, like diamonds on all spikes. It was crazy. But I think that Tyson really analyzing the fight and using his high fight IQ was able to pick apart Deontay Wilder and find his openings so that he could really go back in the lap and piece things together. He figured out that he could touch him because he touched him a lot of times in the first fight, but he didn't have a little that extra 20 pounds. You know what I mean? He also wasn't trying to really sit on his punches. He was trying to outpoint him. feel like, in the first fight. And I think he learned from his mistakes and was like, okay, I know I'm a much better technical boxer than Deontay, so I think I'm just going to push the pace and put on a little bit more weight, and that's exactly what he did. He executed the game plan perfectly. In my personal opinion, I think Tyson Fury is a more technical boxer than Deontay Wilder.
Yes,
but Wilder
for sure.
Deontay Wilder is a much more savage athlete than Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder is just a freak of nature. That guy is one in a billion. You're never going to find an athlete like that guy ever. So that guy just has this crazy explosive power, but I think Tyson Fury exposed him and just was like, I think I'm more technical than this guy, and I think I'm going to take him apart if I just push the pace and add a little bit more weight to my punches. But to answer your question about the training part, with your training partners, it doesn't really affect you too much, except for the guys better than me. Like one of my coaches, Andy, I'm really struggling with him currently, because I mean I do pretty well in the room, but there is guys that handle me in the room, and Andy's one of the guys that handles me in the room. And every single time I roll with Andy, I'm constantly trying to adjust because I know what I did wrong in my last roll, but he still is able to catch me. I mean, he has a very good box system, very good chin strap, very good stars, good guillotine, and he bypasses a lot of my leg locks. So, especially when I'm bowling with Andy, I'm always trying to assess my last roll in my head before I slap hands and bowl with him, to try and do better in the next roll. And I have been getting better, but it's still been a difficulty for me. So the way that Tyson did that, and actually went into that next year and assessed his last performance, and he did that much better the next time, it's really impressive. What do you think, Noah? You didn't watch the fight, though, huh?
No, I had something else going on. I was at work, surprisingly not.
Tyson Fury should be your spirit animal, Noah.
Yeah, well, but
he could be.
But in thinking about your training partners, since I've been working more lately, I've not been on the mats as much. And also, while I was away from Henzo's for a year, I came back, and some of the lesser when they were just fresh white belts or just freshly promoted blue belts were giving me trouble. And I wanted to mention to you guys for my training. One of these individuals, he busted my lip this week. Last week the week before I got kneed in the face. This week is he had me in a rear naked choke. I was working on my defense, and it wasn't there. It wasn't happening for him. And then he quickly switched. He realized that it wasn't working for him, and he just switched arms. Went from one arm and just switched it right over to the other. And it went right across my mouth, and he just started cranking my face. And now I got, he cranked it so fast that, I didn't have a chance to get out of it, and it was coming up against my teeth. And
what's his name, Khabib?
No.
I was about to say, that's a real technique, buddy. That's a real. It may not be a nice technique, but that's a real technique, buddy.
Oh yeah, no, and I spat out my mouth guard and tapped. I was more concerned about my teeth getting broken.
Dude, your jaw will break, your teeth will break.
Yeah.
A lot of things will break there, man.
Yeah, and I was toughing it out.
Save you. You know what the defense to that is, though?
Tell me.
You're like this, right? You're defending. The defense is. And then guess what? Oh, you get choked all night.
Yeah, see, it just goes from bad to worse.
I'd rather get choked than my jaw or my tooth broken.
Yeah. But back to the fight. There's a couple things there. Why did he change his trainer? Why did he fire his trainer?
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And there's also a similar thing going on with who looked different from fight, or who improved from one loss to the next, and that was who's that Polish fighter that just beat Corey Anderson on the rematch?
Jen Blachowicz.
Jen Blagojevich.
Yeah.
Blagojevich changed. in between. Because what did he do? He brought back his original trainer. So I don't know what it is about the turmoil with trainers lately, whether it be at boxing or in the UFC. It seems like there's a lot of hemorrhaging of trainers back and forth. That's got to be something.
Back to the Deontay.
Well, but going to that fight you're referring to with Corey Anderson. First of all, that Corey Anderson that reminded me of Chael Sonnen versus Nate Marquardt years ago in the UFC, where Chael Sonnen, not known as a striker, not known as a Muay Thai fighter, threw a kick, a lazy kick. And a lot of times when you throw that kick to your opponent's legs, your chin is, there's nothing up. You can't move your head, your hands are in a position. And so the time you're throwing that kick, your chin is just there. And so Jan just sat on the kick. Anderson throws the kick and kind of lowered his head. No hands, no nothing. He's totally out of position. And Jan just comes, boom, ton of bricks. Nate Marquardt did the same thing. When you throw those leg kicks in MMA, you better be quick with them, or you better throw something else behind it to make your opponent have to worry about it. Because a lot of opponents, if you're not a good leg kicker, they'll sit on the leg kick. They'll say, hey, Noah, I'll let you throw that leg kick because it's slow, it doesn't hurt. And in exchange for that leg kick, I'm going to sit down on my punch and I'm going to throw a ton of bricks back at you, and I'll take your weak leg kick. I'll trade you one. Your weak leg kick for my hard overhand right. And that's exactly what Jan did. Yeah. But you raised a good point. I like what you said about your training session with your training partner in the face crank, because this has been going on in jiu-jitsu, dude, for a long time. And I did a video years ago. I call it the little nasties. The little nasties jiu-jitsu that a lot of times are imperceptible to the eye. You watch Marcelo Garcia matches, and you can't see some of the little micro things that are going on late. How come Marcelo is 99% on the back and no one else does? Well, there's a lot of technique. There's a lot of speed involved. There's timing involved. But the other thing is the little nasties. When Marcelo, I bought Marcelo Garcia's BJJ videos years ago, and I was looking for the little secrets. Like, dude, let me see the little secrets here. And guess what? He didn't show the secrets. I've interviewed Marcelo before. I've talked to him. He didn't show the secrets in his DVD. So I had to just watch the videos little by little. And I'm like, okay, there's something Marcelo does that most everyone else doesn't. What was it? It was when Marcelo gets the seatbelt. When he would go seatbelt, everybody else, we were trained seatbelt, and now slide your choke hand, and now boom, go to your choke and then go, right? So you slide, you're taught to slide your hand, right? Slide your hand, and then you do your choke. Marcelo Garcia does a jam, not a slide. He goes boom, bop, boom, and that bop is like basically this little thing here is like it pops you. It just pops you and like wait, boom. And while you're worried about that pop, what do you instinctively do if somebody jabs you? Pop, pop. What do you instinctively do? You don't do this. He pops you. You instinctively do more of this. So it's seatbelt, pop, little nasty, choke, end game. And now you would say naturally, is that legal? Should that be legal to jam guys and be that aggressive on a guy's throat or whatever, like that kind of force and that vulnerable area? Should that be legal? This is the gray area of jiu-jitsu nobody talks about. Roger Gracie, who I love, have tremendous respect for both these guys. I'm not passing judgment on him. Roger Gracie, and I hope Robert Drysdale will allow me to tell this story on the air. But Roger told me that
you're telling it now.
Robert told me that he faced Roger one time. And I don't think Robert is awesome. Robert's a beast. I don't think he ever beat Roger in the gi. I'm pretty sure Roger had his number. And Robert is a beast. But Roger is maybe the greatest of all time in the gi. And we all know that once Roger Gracie gets on you, his mount is like Marcelo Garcia on your back. Just don't come back from that. The immovable object. But when he's on top and he's so patient, he gets that lead hand in your collar, right? He gets that lead hand. What's that second hand doing patiently, right? Part of what that second hand is doing, I know from talking to Robert Drysdale, is that second hand a lot of times is crushing your cheekbone, it's crushing your jaw, and guess what it's saying? It's saying, hey brother, I want to make you make a choice. How do you value your eye bones here? You value your jawbone, or do you want to give me this choke? What do you want? Exactly. You can make it hard. How much pressure do you want on your Robert said like one time he felt like his cheekbone was going to explode. Like This guy puts. It's not just technique. It's the little nasties that are imperceptible. Sometimes you don't see. Jordan, you're out there heel hooking guys. Sometimes it's the same thing. You're making a guy choose. You're just before you even apply the heel hook. Sometimes it's that you twist that knee in a way before the heel hook's even applied. You start twisting the knee a little bit, and now the guy starts maybe giving you something else. And if you don't twist that knee a little bit, maybe you don't get it. There's little nasties like that, Jordan. I'm sure you trained at a very good school there, no gi. Eddie Bravo Jiu Jitsu. Talk a little bit about that. Very important part of the elite game.
I was also going to touch base on what you're saying, even though I'm probably going to advise it and say it wrong. So there's two approaches to jiu-jitsu conceptually that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people think about the first one. And a lot of people always talk about the first one, right? So there's like an off-balancing. You're going to make somebody do something they don't want to do by off-balancing, or Kazushi. You've heard of Kazushi before, yeah? Kazushi is an off-balancing. It happens everywhere in jiu-jitsu. That's what most people do to impose their will. They get off-balancing, and then it forces the uke or the person to do something they don't want to do, post where they don't want to post, and then you can implement your move. What you're talking about, Frank, is I might mess the word up, so I apologize if I mess the word up. But I believe it's called pseudo, and pseudo is imposing your will by force, by making the opponent do something they don't want to do, by making them uncomfortable, by pain.
Pain compliance.
You know what I mean? By pain compliance, exactly.
Yeah.
By dropping your forearm into the eye socket, now the guy is going to reveal his neck, where he wouldn't before. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of people don't realize this, but that's actually a very, very high level way of forcing your opponent to get reactions they would not usually give you. So there's Kazushi, off balancing. There's, like I said, I know Kazushi's correct, but pseudo is pain compliance.
How do you spell that?
Don't want to. What was that?
How do you spell that? Pseudo?
I believe it's with a T. I believe it's like TSUDO.
TSUDO?
I believe so, but I don't know how to spell Japanese. I heard the word one time. I heard the concept. My old coach Andrew Ram was teaching it to me, and it made perfect sense. Even if the word isn't the correct word, the concept made sense in my head. It's just the concept of pain compliance by forcing them to do something they don't want to do. So yeah, like all the high level guys are doing that a lot of the time. And that's how like Khabib is getting the chokes. He wraps the arms around your neck. He doesn't take his chin down. He's just gonna face paint the chin and your face, and then you'll feel the neck. It's smart, and then he'll get the clean choke.
And if you buy the instructional video, 9 times out of 10, almost 10 out of 10, they don't show you that. That's not included. You have to deduce that, or really like super slow mo the tape, them with their matches, and then he's, oh man, there's a little nasty right there. But what you're saying is so true, Jordan. It's like I call it misery leads to mistakes. You have to create a psychological misery or the psychological pain, and that. Because everybody, a lot of times, the high levels, everybody's a smart fighter. Like Jordan was saying, people know what not to do. And so unless you create a discomfort or a misery, you create discomfort and misery, that's a distraction. Now you've got misery. Now people do things. They know that their rational minds, their intelligent minds know they shouldn't do that. But you create so much discomfort, so much misery, that now they start making bad decisions. And that's how the brain works. And a lot of times, you have to do that, because if you don't create that misery, if you don't create that pain, like you call it pain compliance, if you don't create that, then you're dealing with a very intelligent fighter. You've got to make him dumber. Exactly. How do you make the other fighter dumber? Part of the way is you increase the pain. You increase the psychological and physiological pain. And that creates also a distraction. And now a smarter fighter, their fight IQ starts to come down. Most of them, it will start to come down.
Exactly. Comfortable people do not make uncomfortable options. I mean, comfortable people don't do uncomfortable things. You know what I mean? You're just like chilling like this, and you're not threatened. And you're like, oh, this guy can't punch me in my face. I'm just gonna home alone, Macaulay Culkin. He can't do nothing to me. I hate when people do that to me. You know what I mean? But a lot of people do that until you start dropping their forearms into their face and start doing things that are kind of mean. But once you start doing these things, they're gonna move their arms. They're gonna do things that they wouldn't normally do if they're just chilling there. You know what I mean? If they're comfortable, they're not gonna make an uncomfortable decision. soon as they're uncomfortable, now they're going to do things that they don't want to do. They're going to be moving, putting their arms, putting their neck, doing all sorts of things that they know not to do. But we've seen them so uncomfortable they have to do it. So yeah, that's a really not talked about too often. It's always thought of like the gentle art. You know what I mean? It's the gentle way, the gentle art, but there's all the pain defiance moves that people don't really talk about that are done at a very, very high level. What do you
Yeah,
think
it's
about that,
interesting
John?
because you look at somebody like Mikey Musumeci. You and I have both trained with Mikey. Mikey's getting a lot of press now, and deservedly so. But like a guy like Mikey, it's not necessarily pain compliance or misery. In his case, the way that he gets you out of being an intelligent fighter is he just speeds it up. He speeds up the game so much, so quick. His brain works quicker than everyone else's brain. So he just
Yeah.
speeds up the decision making. That's another way to make people to take someone's fight IQ and reduce it. Some people are smart. If you gave them 5 seconds to make the right jiu-jitsu decision, they'll make the right decision, jiu-jitsu decision 10 out of 10. Now give them 1 second to make it. Well, fewer people are going to make that decision right. Now give them a split second or a millisecond, like Mikey mentioned, pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
Now your brain, like
People
you're a
have a
smart fighter, but you're not equipped to go and make those rapid fire decisions the way that his brain does. So that's another version of what you were talking about, which is wait, I'm dealing with a smart fighter on the other end of me. How do I reduce his fight IQ and make him make bad decisions? Well, we can create some misery to cause mistakes. We can cause some distractions of some way, or we can do a Mikey Musumeci where the decisions are just so rapid fire that your brain cannot keep up. This is the fascinating part of jiu-jitsu. This is the not just the chess game, but the speed chess game that goes on with jiu-jitsu that's beautiful to watch.
Yeah, brain is literally like a supercomputer. When you have a conversation with him, if you're lucky enough to be able to have a conversation with him, which I'm able to, you're able to train. Yeah, when you have a conversation with that guy, you realize you're talking to somebody special, man. That guy's brain is literally a supercomputer of jiu-jitsu. Like it's so high level. He understands jiu-jitsu at such a high level. I've never had such an intelligent, articulate conversation about jiu-jitsu ever than anybody but Mikey. Mikey is Mikey is just on a different wavelength. You know what I mean? Like there's people that are good at jiu-jitsu, and then there's people that are really, really good at jiu-jitsu, and then there's world champions, and then there's Mikey. Mikey is just on a different thing, man. If I didn't know any better, I'd be an alien, man. The guy just is so intelligent when it comes to jiu-jitsu. I couldn't believe it. And then the crazy thing is how humble he is too, man. I haven't in like 3 years, but the last time I seen him in John Freeman's garage in the good old days, he's asking me. I was like a blue belt at the time. He's like a one-time world champion. And he's asking me, Jordan, oh my gosh, how'd you do that heel hook? How are you doing the heel hook? How do you control the leg here? How do you do this here? He's asking me questions. And I'm like telling him what to do, and then like halfway through telling him what to do, I'm like, why am I telling you what to do? Like, why am I explaining to you how to control Ashi? This doesn't make any sense to me, dude. Like, you're not supposed to be asking me. And he's like, no. And oh man, he's so humble. If he keeps the white belt mentality all the way up until he's acknowledged he's the best in the world. I guarantee you, if he sees something, even from a white belt, if he sees something that he's never seen before, he's gonna go up to that white belt. He's gonna ask him, "How'd you do that? What was that?" You know what I mean? He's not afraid to ask low belts or people that are not new to give him for advice on what to do. And I think that really kind of is the reason that speaks to why he is so good as he is, man. He just always got such a thirst for knowledge. I've never seen somebody all he does is jiu-jitsu, man. He doesn't have any other hobby.
Yeah, and he's not a guy that does the little nasties, by the way. The little nasties we're talking about, he's so good, he don't have to do them.
He does
gets to his spots and
a lot of off balancing. He gets me to post where I know I shouldn't post. He gets me to do things I know I shouldn't do because he's inverting underneath me. He's off balancing. He's doing things. He does the Kazuchi approach, which is more of the jiu-jitsu approach, where you off balance. You get me to post my hand, post my foot somewhere where I know I shouldn't, and then all of a sudden you can invert underneath me or pass me, do things that are very, very easy for you to do. You know?
These are very.
In his case, he's just got the A B C D E down.
Exactly.
He's got the ABC. He
That's
knows
what it
you're
is.
going to make one of these 3 or 4 reactions, and he's already ahead of you. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care which reaction. He's going to be 2 steps ahead of you, 3 steps ahead of you. He just wants a reaction. You make
He knows
it, boom, boom, boom. He's
anything
3 steps
possible.
ahead, and that's it.
Yeah, he knows any. That's what I was saying. He knows anything possible, and if he doesn't, it bothers him. And if he doesn't care what belt you are, if he sees something that he doesn't know, he's gonna be like, "Oh, I don't like that. What is that? You need to tell me everything about that right now." He's gonna figure everything there is to know about that position. Doesn't matter if it's a white belt in training 2 weeks. If he sees something, which is very unlikely, you know what I mean? Especially at this point in his career, like I was saying, this happened to me 3 years ago when last time I was training with Mikey. I'm sure it still would happen until today, but his jiu-jitsu IQ is just getting higher and higher and higher every single day. The amount of times Mikey sees something that he's never seen before is probably slim to none nowadays.
This reminds me of of a book that I've had. It's a timeless book on Zen Buddhism, and it's called Beginner's Mind. So that's another, I guess, a technique, because it is a technique or an approach. So you have Kazushi, you have pain compliance, which we're not sure what that word is right now. Sudo possibly. Yeah, we'll look it up. And the speeding, that is another technique, which is eliminating options due to shortened time for you to analyze them. Is what that is. You don't have the luxury of analysis. You need to know the answer. You need to know the answer immediately. And immediate. So that's where it's trained into you by muscle memory. That way you're actually competing at muscle memory level instead of conscientious choices, because at that point it's not. But then a supporting habit there, and this is also known in the expert literature, which is to approach things fresh. Guys, I've been talking a little bit about, I don't know if I mentioned to you lately, about meditation practice through Sam Harris's Waking Up app, and you can use his app for free. If you just email them and say, "Hey, can I have this app for free?" They will give you a year's worth of access, full access to it, if you just email them. I got the paid version; it's the same thing, and you have 50 lessons, 50 days of I'm on day, like right now I'm on day 13, and every day I take a screenshot after I complete my 10-minute meditation and send that screenshot to my wife. Just a little nudge. But the meditation practice, the reason why I'm mentioning that is it's a way of seeing things anew, seeing things fresh. A lot of the meditation that they're doing is you just go back to breath, because your mind is nonstop thinking, nonstop. It's from sensories, your sensory awareness and the thoughts that you're having. It is nonstop, and so a habit to develop, the meditation habit, will help you see things that you've not seen things before, because you'll be able to calm down all that thinking that you're doing. The reason I wanted to plug that concept here, because that's something probably, if we go to are the Ingles, where we Frank, where you and I saw Mike at, where he was training that time.
Chris Engel, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's Engel Jiu-Jitsu. It's Chris and Miley.
Yes.
ENGLE. Great people.
Which they have really good acai as well.
They have probably some of the best acai in Vegas. They're wonderful people, and I always whenever I get people that, like, maybe you get a female or something, right? Like, it's what I love about their atmosphere. Like, is if you had a girl, your sister or a coworker, and you wanted her to go train somewhere where she wasn't going to get hit on, she wasn't going to be a piece of meat, that sort of thing. Like, they have that kind of environment where they produce some really good jiu-jitsu players. They're wonderful people. It's not, let's hit on the women kind of thing, you know. Not that every place is. Most places are not like that, but I think they're just like phenomenal at it.
Places are.
So they have the best of both worlds, where they have some really good expressions of jiu-jitsu. Mylene is, you know, one of the, you know, early female black belts, sweetheart. And so if you're a woman, especially sending women there, it's just a great environment. And anyway, Mikey's over there. He's got he works with that. What's his name? Eduardo. What's Eduardo's last name? Eduardo's a black one. He's really good too. So that's one of Mikey's training partners over there. He loves to drill with him.
We don't want to blow up Mikey's spot, but
Well, let me say one other thing about Mikey really quick, because you just tapped on it when you talked about you know, Sam Harris and the meditation app, and this is the paradox, because a lot, in my experience as somebody who studied philosophy at the University of Maryland, all truths are paradoxical. All truths are you know, where one thing is true and the exact opposite is true simultaneous. And that's kind of crazy. It's almost like the Matrix, right? Like that's part of what makes life this Matrix. Where you're like, wow, there's so many variables and they just don't seem to make sense. And there's just this big chaotic puzzle, a matrix, and like, how do you make sense of it? And it's always moving. And that's the, you know, I remember Mikey and I having a conversation a few years ago. And, you know, at the time, Mikey was a little more nervous. He was young. He was a 20-year-old kid, right? And he was still phenomenal. But he didn't have the confidence that he has now. And I used to say, Mike, you're going to get that confidence going to come. Winning world titles at the black belt level, the confidence is going to come. But I said, in the meantime, just, you know, nobody's brain on the decision making can keep up with yours. You got the quickest brain. So you know how you solve the nerves? Just go out there. You got 600 seconds on the clock and just go. Just get to your spots, get to your grips, and just start boom, 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 boom. And in that boom, 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 boom of going, guess what happens? You fight on autopilot. You lose all those nerves and all that overthinking and all that hesitation, because you lose yourself in the moment of just 600 seconds of, look, just go. And in that, what's crazy about that is the mind, the subconscious mind, is making those decisions. But the conscious mind, a lot of times, you know, the conscious mind is perfect in the weeks or the months before a fight. You're going to analyze something, you're going to break it down, you're going to adapt, you're going to be strategic. When you fight, you want the subconscious mind. You just want everything you just want the instincts. And so for somebody who's nervous, a lot of times the thing is, if you're as good as a Mikey and your brain works that quick, you just get lost in the moment. Like, just go, man. Like, pretty soon that brain, boom, 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 boom. Nobody can keep up with that guy's decision making. You could stall, I guess, right? But once he gets to his spots, so that is to what you're saying, though, Noah. There's a paradox there, because on the one hand, you're forcing your brain to make a lot of decisions very quickly, but on the other hand, you're on autopilot. It's effortless when you're at that level that he is. He doesn't need to take 2 seconds or 3 seconds and be very deliberate and have a conscious mind thinking of things, or a deliberate mind, because the deliberate mind wants to hesitate. And at the elite level, milliseconds and fractions of a second, it's not always who's the smartest, it's who can make those decisions the quickest, who can make them in the shortest amount of time, just like an NFL quarterback. And so to watch him, I'm like, bro, if you just speed it up, just go right to how you fight. And you, like you were saying earlier, Jordan, when you train with Mikey, or if you compete against Mikey, it's a nonstop attacking thing. You know, you're totally like boom, boom, boom. He forced you to make those decisions, and I think he's very relaxed now, because number one, he's just destroying everybody, and he's that much better, and he's got multiple world titles, so he's got the confidence. But the other thing is the way he fights. There's not really a lot of time to sit there and you know, when you're slower and you take 3 seconds to make decisions, whatever, that's when you're hesitant, because you're in your own head and you're thinking, oh, well, should I do this, and could I do this? And the way that he fights, it's like, it's beautiful. It's just go, man. Just go, get into your rhythm, just go, and just start that chain. And his brain automatically just goes that chain of, you know, boom, 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 boom. And there's not as many nerves when you do that. When you do that, because you can't think 2 thoughts at the same time. So if you're sitting there concentrating fully on, hey, let me get to my spot, let me win the grips, and then boom, just go. You don't have time to sit there and be scared and have a monkey mind and think about other things. You're just totally in the moment. You just go and get to your grips and just go from there, flow from there. There's not the time to be scared and to be hesitant and all the stuff that would sabotage.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is entering like called flow state or state of no mind. A lot of people talk about this. A lot of grapplers talk about this. A lot of not even just grapplers. A lot of just people that deal with really really intense level what am I intense level sports like rock climbers talk about it. A lot of surfers talk about it. Just hyper focus and not thinking about anything except your body's just acting to the moment. You're not even thinking about anything. Your body's just reacting, and you're kind of almost like a third person. It's kind of difficult to describe, but it's yeah, like I know exactly what you're talking about. All the best athletes, all the best grapplers, all the best fighters enter that state of mind. It's called a flow state. You don't think about what you're doing. Your body is just doing it. Your body's just reacting to the moment. You're 100% in the moment, living in the moment. You're not thinking. You're just doing. And as soon as you do that, then it really, really comes down to who knows who's better at jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? If you can really enter a true flow state match, that's how the real better person comes out. You know what I mean? And that's why Mikey beat everybody because, like you're saying, Frank, Mikey, as soon as he slaps hands, he's already in flow state. He already knows everything that's possible. He already knows the ABC. He already knows the 1, 2, 3. He already knows all of the options. I mean, as soon as you make a move, he's already making his next move. He doesn't have to think. His body's just doing it because his brain understands jiu-jitsu like that.
And by the way, nobody studies more than Mikey does. I mean,
No.
it is partly his natural brain. I think he naturally has the kind of IQ for this. He's been doing it since he was 4 years old. But it's also that, as you were alluding to earlier, Jordan, he's just obsessed. He is studying video more than everybody. He drills more efficiently. I don't know if he drills more than other people, but it reminds me of John Wooden. John Wooden, when he was at UCLA and they won 10 national titles in basketball, and he was a stickler for 90-minute practices, which were so efficient, no seconds wasted, and that's Mikey drilling. Mikey, a lot of people might drill for an hour, 90 minutes. He gets more high-quality drilling in. So he
There you
watches
go.
more video than anybody. He drills more efficiently. He drills more innovatively and creatively than almost anybody out there. And that's why we're talking about him right now. Guys, let's pivot really quick though, Noah. I want to pivot to this because you were talking earlier about the little nasties, your training partner. Let's talk a little bit about, because first of all, there's a little bit, like a lot of times I might do little nasties in a tournament, but I won't do my training partner, right? So I've never, Jordan, I've never taken my forearm and, forearmed you and, like in wrestling where they would forearm you across
Well,
the ring.
Frank, the one time. I'm just kidding. Yeah,
I've never done that. And but now it gets into the larger issue, which is that most of us don't do that to our training partners. I know some people that do. But the other thing we were talking about earlier off air is, what about when you train with someone that you don't particularly care for, you don't particularly like, and they don't particularly like you? Let's talk about how do you navigate that to be professional. How do you navigate that? Noah, what do you think? Have you ever had a situation like that?
It's like we can categorize these types because you have these are really archetypes, and you'll have the I'm going to call it the new blue belt, where they got past being a white belt of using pain compliance, of digging their elbows in, or being, I guess it would be being aggressive, physically aggressive.
Double elbow, you mean?
The double elbow, yeah, the double elbow. Yeah, just grinding the elbow nonsense.
I think Jordan does that, by the way. I think his ears are burning right now.
So you have that. Then you also have the guy. There's another one. Is the guy? He's not doing pain compliance, but what he's doing is it's his maximal effort of using strength. Okay, he's hiding behind his muscle. I like to think of. I like to do my techniques where I am optimizing. So my optimal way of doing that, just for in technique class, which is the regular everyday class you're doing, I do the least amount of I employ the least amount of force necessary to effectively accomplish the movement.
That's good.
I have there's I know one individual right now where it is there's nothing but like the hardest, like the maximal strength being used, the maximal
Yeah.
strength being used, where it. So let's say they're in your they're in your guard, and they have this iron bar grip on your lapel, holding you down. Okay, and it is an iron bar that where there's no play in the arm, you can't move it, and not only that, but they also are squeezing their, whatever they squeeze, they're squeezing the most out of. All right, and they're maybe at a good conditioning where they've done that so much that they don't tire out right away. Because you think, okay, well, this person's going to tire out after a few minutes doing that. And then there's some people who have conditioned themselves to where they don't tire out, but they're doing maximal physical. I mean, when they want to push, they don't push. They toss. They really shove as hard as they can. Is that what is that ethical? Is that desirable as part of training technique?
You need those guys.
Huh?
You need those guys.
You need those guys.
You need those guys.
Yeah, I got one.
You need those guys because, well, at least in my opinion, man, I think you need those guys because it's a good dose of reality. If you roll with the white belt guy, say you're getting a street fight with something 230 pounds, 230 pounds dude that just got out of the gym, maybe on some steroids, all he does is lift weights, and you start grappling with that guy. That guy doesn't know any jiu-jitsu. Do you think that guy is going to do the right response? Do you think that guy is going to try and use any technique? Like, no, that guy doesn't know the right response. That guy doesn't know at all what to do. He's going to go explosive strength and doing things that you are not used to, right?
Right.
On their back, they usually turn in. People who don't train, turn away, right? People who know what to do don't give up double underhooks. People who don't train will give up double underhooks. But because they are doing things that they know not to do, sometimes it still works out in their favor because then they do even more things that you're not expecting. Because you're not expecting them to do all these weird, funky white belt things that people do when they don't train, sometimes your brain gets so used to training with somebody, you know what I mean? When you train with somebody who's been training jiu-jitsu for a couple weeks, a couple months, a decent white belt, a blue belt, they're programmed to have certain responses. Turn in, don't turn away. Do this, don't do that. Normal people who are on the streets don't have those responses. They're completely wired differently. They have fear panic responses. And when you have fear panic responses, you rely on the only things you have. And it's your explosivity, your strength, your speed, your athleticism, and you're just going to do whatever you possibly can to get out of the situation, whether it be right or wrong. They don't know what's right or wrong. They're just doing whatever they can to get out. So training with somebody who's doing a lot of the wrong things and using their strength and explosiveness, I think is a good reality check for your jiu-jitsu to keep you humble and to keep you in check. Also use to keep your jiu-jitsu practical so that you can get used to using it on somebody who's not doing jiu-jitsu. They're essentially not doing jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? They're just on survival mode. You're not doing jiu-jitsu when you're using all your strength, you're pushing somebody off you like that, and you're exploding, you're holding somebody down, making sure they can't do anything, you're not trying to pass. You're not doing jiu-jitsu, buddy. You're just surviving. That's survival mode. You know what I mean? But you
Yeah.
need practice. You need rounds of people like that for sure.
This individual is a seasoned blue belt, so he's not making. Yeah. He's not doing the white belt. He's an explosive, powerful blue belt doing that stuff. So
it can happen sometimes too, man.
Woo!
Even I know some blue belts that rely on their strength, like you're saying, man.
Yeah.
For the blue belts that do that, then I really, really, really try and push my way and try and because I don't know. apparently he can't yet. But if somebody, I don't train it too often, but all I'm seeing in my head is somebody who had a stiff arm out like this was holding me down
Yes.
in my guard like this, real hard. Their arm is completely extended out like this. What is stopping my hip from picking up an armbar? What is stopping? I don't understand what's stopping the armbar. The armbar should be right there. At least be able to threaten it, and then he's gonna have to move his arm. You know what I mean? You should be moving your hip and be threatening keeps and armbars and to do something to that arm if he's extending that arm out.
Yeah, this is you speaking from a brown belt level. Check both of you check your grips right now on your phones because I think you're covering your microphone.
Am I covering?
Someone's covering their microphone. You're covering your microphone. Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. I can just tell from the ambient noise.
Yeah, well, don't worry because I was just covering it strategically while you guys were talking, and then when I talk out.
Ah, I see. Nice. So
But I would say it's interesting. I mean, Jordan is right. You do have to train with people that do unconventional things. Sometimes what we would call spaz. By the way, I think spaz. That word spaz is probably going to be the most used one. Of all the ecosystems and all the sports where that word could be used, I think it'll be used in like jiu-jitsu more than anywhere. I think that like that's a word that we will use. The NFL is not going to use it as much. NBA, football, lacrosse in our ecosystem, like spaz, like Jordan was saying, people in a sort of in a primal, anything it takes, like claw, whatever, they're going to spaz, right? I do agree everyone needs to know what it feels like to train with someone who's going to be spastic and kind of like almost like when the police go to arrest somebody and they just get these people that try to do crazy superhuman things every once in a while, and you need to know what it feels like to deal with that person. I think the question though is one of frequency. In other words, how frequently do you need to train against that in order to be ready for it? Because if you train with it all the time, it certainly raises your risk of injury. And the other question is, at what level should someone be training with those people? In other words, it might not be a good idea in someone's first 3 months or 6 months to be facing somebody who outweighs them, who's spastic, who just came in off the street. You might want to bring them along a little more, and you might want to give them almost like a Broncos. If we had spastic Broncos with kick, you might give them. There might be a spectrum, right? A level 1 Bronco that kicks you off or whatever, or level 2 bull, right? There's like, then you got the master bull that just nobody can ride that bull for even 8 seconds, and so you just have levels. You almost have to assign a spaz score to each one. Okay, level 1 spaz. Hey, you've been training jiu-jitsu for 6 months. You're now ready for level 1 spaz. Here you go.
that makes sense.
Today's class. I would say adding on to what we've said though, because I had a training partner, so Sonny Nahara, and Sonny and I had talked about this publicly on video, so it's I'm not saying anything behind Sonny. Sonny and I are friends now, but Sonny Nahara and I, we trained at Drysdale. We were from different schools, and then we came as brown belts to train at the Robert Drysdale Academy. And I would say the whole 4 years that Sonny and I trained together, I mean, he was my chief training partner. And it's no secret, he and I talk about it openly in the video, we did not care for each other at all. I mean, it was a lot of tension. It was a lot of like,
Interesting.
it was like every training session with him was like, dude, I do not want him to win. He didn't want me to win, and Sonny usually most of the time got the better of those training sessions. A lot of those training sessions were very close. But for whatever reason, he understood what I wanted to do. And just the training sessions, it's like, he usually, they would be very close and competitive, but he would usually come out on top. And, I don't like that. I'm a very competitive guy. So there was a lot of tension. He was a quiet, introverted guy. I'm sort of, you guys know, I'm like the verbose, outgoing, and very direct and very raw. And so it's a clash of styles, a clash of philosophies. And the irony, though, he and I look at it now, it's like Sonny Nahara made me a lot better. I made Sonny, I think, a lot better. I think we made each other better having that competitive rivalry there. And I will say that even though we had a lot of tension and we had a lot of competition, I used to hate losing to him. I know that times where I got the better of him, I know he hated it. It would drive me, point home. but I always respected him. In fact, Sonny broke my nose. We had a sparring session. With hand. We were getting ready for a fight, and I got my nose broken. Now, I was pissed when I got my nose broke, bro. I was like, I thought we were going lighter than we were. Like, I thought we were like pulling our punches, just hitting. The kicks were lighter and the hands were lighter, and so that's what I thought at least, right? Anyway, a punch got away from him somehow. I don't know, Like, I still was thinking, like, dude, come on, that didn't just get away from him. So I got my nose broken. I mean, and I was pissed about that. And if you've ever had your nose broken, guys, I'm telling you what. When you get your nose broken, it bleeds a lot, and so you can still fight through it. I mean, you can fight through a broken nose. Professional fighters do it all the time. That's not a big deal. I mean, there is an aesthetic thing because you have to if you don't realign it right away, then the only way to realign it after, maybe after that first week or so would be you've got to go in and get it rebroke, and then they reset it. So we did the best we could in the mirror of realigning it. It hasn't been totally straight.
Ow.
But I tell you, here's how hard-headed I am, though, guys. I wanted to train so bad. I think I didn't miss a day. I was right back in there, on Monday, and I still trained with that broken nose and hard-headed. And every time, because you don't realize how much your nose gets hit in this sport. You don't realize how much you use your head, how much you use your neck as a third, as that third arm, and how much you're doing this. That's why people have cauliflowers. And every time I would get a good one in the nose, and it would happen every couple of days, man. I'm telling you what, that is like that sensation. Once your nose is broke, when it's raw the first 3 weeks or so after you get it broke, it is so like, it'll stop you in your tracks. But the larger point here is where you can have a training partner that maybe you don't care for them, they don't care for you. There's a lot of tension. There's a personal thing. Sometimes it's just dog level primalism. It's not even that person didn't do anything wrong to you. It's just like two dogs walk by each other, don't like each other, or they need to work it out.
Yeah.
And I've seen that. That's not the norm, but even when I was at Drysdale's, people would come in from all over the world, so you never knew who you were going to train with on any given day. And every once in a while, there'd be someone you weren't used to their style, or you thought they were unnecessarily rough, or there was just a dog primal thing. And that's what's fascinating about our industry, man. It's like, we get behind all the facade of, appearances and whatever, and you just dive in, and it's like their most primal self, you're going to knuckle up, and their most primal self and your most primal self, and what's their idea of rough, what's your idea of rough, right? What's their idea of, I'm going too wild and crazy and spastic, what's your definition? Well, what's their definition, right? And there's all these moving pieces, so it's invariably, if you train 10, 12, 15 years, I don't care how nice of a person you are, I don't care how great the gym environment, you are going to have someone who, at least for a period of time, you're going to be like, I don't really care for this person as much, whether it's because they're spastic, whether it's your personalities, whether it's just their idea of rough is different than your idea of rough. Maybe it's just you hate losing, they hate losing, you're both ultra competitive personalities. And then, by the way, it makes it harder, guys, sometimes to work on things with that person, because sometimes if Jordan and I have a great relationship, I may be working on new material, new techniques, and I don't care if Jordan catches me in a choke, gets better, because I'm leaving my ego. And sometimes it can be hard when you have that training partner you're so competitive with, there's tension with, and you don't want to lose them, and you're like, nah, we're not working on technique today. Forget technique. We got to win.
Oh, boy.
And that's where the ego comes in, and that's why it would be better not to have an ego if you had no ego. But the problem with that is, and Deontay Wilder was talking about this. Listen, the best fighters do have egos. It's ego balance. It's how do you balance it? If you had no ego, you would not want to be elite. You wouldn't go to world championships. You wouldn't go into a cage like Jordan. You wouldn't. You're doing it because you have some pride, because you have some ego. There is always ego involved. Ego makes the world go round. So it's balancing the ego. There's no such thing as, Tom Brady's not okay with second place, guys. I'm sorry to say. Gordon Ryan's not okay. Gordon likes to be able to say, I beat the other person. That is ego. And that is a healthy ego, and a lot of champions have that ego where they're saying, listen, if somebody's going to cry, if somebody's going to deal with second, let it be the other guy or the other gal. No, I don't want it to be me.
All right, so let me say something about that, because I've said it before a few episodes ago. Frank, if you don't mind if I jump in.
Sure. Sure.
Thank you. So when I roll, we raise our hands and like, okay, who needs a partner? And my rule is I will accept all invitations. And I will show my eligibility. I never sit out rounds unless I've been injured, or I'm checking for an injury. I never sit out a round. That's just a basic rule that I live by. I never sit out a round, and I see people do that, which is weird to me. And so if a person who I know I struggle with, from an offensive perspective, if I know that I'm going to struggle with, and let's say the archetype comes up where the powerful opponent perspective, if I have that kind of person, and I know I'm not going to be beating them, in the round itself, I notice myself. This is what's really cool. I notice myself getting emotional. Like, oh, I want to muscle up. And match strength with strength. And instead, I smile and I said, no, learn something from this. And instead of trying to beat them at strength play, instead of doing that approach, what I do is I say, I'm going to work my defenses right now. I'm conscious. I'm going to use what I have right now. I'm going to find space. I'm going to create space. I'm going to block.
What's given?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to exploit what's there, and that becomes my training in the moment. Because I don't want to waste myself on meeting that person's strength. A fourth archetype I wanted to mention. We have the pure spaz. We have the pain compliance person. We have the muscling, the excessive use of strength. But then there's a fourth archetype, which is the weight imbalance, the size imbalance. You have someone who's 4'9" and someone who's 6'1", or I'm rolling with someone who's clearly 100 pounds heavier than I am. And then I guess
you realize you're complaining to Jordan and I, who are like 150 pounds, and we're not sympathetic to you training with someone 100 pounds bigger.
Yeah, I hear you, and actually, to just pivot onto that one.
Because I've trained with more people that are 100 pounds more than me than you have. I can tell you that.
Yeah. You're like no sympathy from us on that one. I got you. I hear you.
For plus 100.
Yeah, I got you. I got you on that. Yeah. So that this reminds me like the book title of The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. Well, this is the 5 people you meet on the mats. Spaz, pain compliance, the muscle man. The I outweigh you, or my body type is much different than yours. There's a fifth one, which is the experience level difference. So the experience level difference is the fifth one, where they just totally have so much more experience than you. Like if you were to roll with Neiman Gracie, Neiman takes people, he rolls a beat, or Igor, when they're on the mat, they'll let you roll with them sometimes. And it's like, Neiman's body type is similar to mine in a way. He's obviously lighter, but he's long. But his strength, or his knowledge is just completely blows mine away. Obviously, is Gracie. So that's the fifth kind that you're going to deal with when you're on the mat. Someone who just completely, they know so much more. And I was rolling with a brown belt this week, and he kept choking me out within seconds. Like I was step choking out, step choking out. It was just brutal. And these were not these were blood chokes that the unconsciousness was coming on fast. These are very tight Bravo chokes. So I think that's another type that you run into.
Well, I would let me suggest another archetype, and that's kind of like, and I would put Jordan to some extent in this category. Jordan, Jeff Glover, I call them lullers, right? So someone who lulls you to sleep, someone who gives you a false sense of security. Anderson Silva was that a lot of times. He would lull you. I mean, that was what putting his hands down and just doing things, making himself hittable, giving you, being a spider, giving you a look. Hey, dude, look, it's you all day. Perfect look for you. Look at how great the lullers. They've set a trap, right? Classic vintage jiu-jitsu. They set a trap. Jordan does it too. Jordan said, "Hey, mount me, please. Hey, dude, you just mounted me. I mean, wow. I mean, you're just really running the show now, right? You're just dominating me." And then he heel hooks you while you're mounting. That's a luller. A luller sets a trap. Vintage jiu-jitsu, and and they try to hang you, and you don't know you're about to be hung, right? And but in any event, guys, we're coming down home stretch here. It's been a very good discussion, and I guess we want to give a shout out really quick to our boy Jimmy G, our webmaster. He is responsible to putting up a lot of our Everyman BJJ episodes on social media, with Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. And Jordan, I guess you have a website now. It's jordanwearsnogi.com. When's that coming out?
I've got a website now. It's in the works. I don't know if it's running yet. Still working on it right now. But hopefully it should be up within like a couple weeks. Something like probably like a week or two. Hopefully it'll be up. Maybe a little bit longer. Promises. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, dude, big things coming along. jordanwearsnogi.com. Super excited about that.
And we invite everybody out there, if you have any feedback, any criticism, any comments. I come from a journalism background, so I don't mind your criticism if it's genuine criticism, right, guys? Not somebody just trying to troll and be rude and be whatever nonsense, but somebody who genuinely is interested. Maybe they're coming from a pure place. They like us. If they have valid criticism or valid feedback, we welcome that. You can email that to everymanbjj @gmail.com. And by the way, ladies, as Noah explained, I think it was the last episode or something, dig that up. The use of everyman. We're inclusive. We want every gender. We love that women are just, joining the sport and training in huge numbers. Noah talks about the genesis of that name of Everyman BJJ and the Shakespearean influence, and even I used it in a blog post, just meaning every person. And if you go and you look at the Shakespearean literature on that, it'll give you an idea of sort of the what Noah had in mind when he named it that. So in any event, guys, this is episode 9 is in the books. We record live on YouTube every Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 1:30 p.m. Pacific Time, and we're getting it going. We know we've got a long ways to go, but we're started. We got it in motion, and if we do a highlight reel video, I was telling Noah and Jordan, if we do a highlight reel, you'd be surprised. We've done probably about almost 20 hours of content. We've had some goodies in there. We've definitely had some really creative and entertaining and thought-provoking discussions, and there's a lot more where that came from. So, Noah, just like to say I enjoyed it as always. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Jordan, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you guys next Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 1:30 p.m. Pacific Time.
Sounds great. Take care, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks so much,
guys. Next week. Later.